Thanks, mate.
I hate the way he smiles when he shuts that
It's
door.
really evil,
It's
isn't
freaky.
it? The way he does it. Hello, Eugene.
Hi, Eugene.
This is
Good evening,
new
good
ground
afternoon.
for us today, mate. This is all new ground for us today, so
Totally new.
bear with us.
Yeah, so we're not experienced in doing this kind of podcast, just a normal everyday podcast. And I'm not looking at you.
And it's weird.
It's weird. I'm not. Normally we sit like side by side, but we can see each other. So now we're looking at a screen with you on it.
We can gaze into each other's eyes normally, but not today.
Not today. We're gazing
look
into
on the
yours
screen.
instead. Sorry, mate. What episode are we on today?
95,
95.
I think.
So five away from the century.
5 away from the century.
Mate,
Yeah.
I was actually just talking about you at barbershop
Oh, God.
because we were talking about forfeits and stuff and how yours is only 5 episodes
5
away.
episodes away.
So yeah, that's going to be quite good. You don't know nothing about this.
I'll say I'm not worried, but I am.
Yeah, you do. You should be, actually. I would be if it was me.
You can't...
No, you're fine.
Okay.
You're fine in that sense. There'll be no hair removal. So none of that.
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
Okay, I can live with that. All right, okay, move on.
Yeah, moving on. So we've got a guest today.
Yeah, Eugene, sorry, mate, I lost the Christmas quiz. So the lads have decided on a forfeit for me for losing the quiz. I'm yet to find out what that is, but apparently it's happening in 5 episodes' time, so who knows?
Yes. Yeah, we just need to work out how we're going to do it.
Okay.
That's all it is. That's all it is. But now, obviously, Eugene, you're here today. Hi, mate. We can say hi properly now.
Yes.
Because we just threw you in the mix.
Straight in.
So thank you, first and foremost, for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
We've got a lot to get through. So first and foremost, I mean, how did you hear about us? I mean, how did you know about Back and Forth?
Obviously, social media is a great platform for many things, isn't it? And, I think, especially this year, mental health has been highlighted quite a lot, which is obviously a good thing. Everyone's talking about mental health, especially men. Women have always had a pretty good support network for many years, haven't they, with friends, whereas men have kind of grown up with that sort of macho mentality that talking's a weakness, and I'm glad that people are finally starting to see through that, and more men are talking, and guys like yourselves obviously providing a good platform to work from, and people to come on and speak to you guys. So there's a guy called Stuart Hall on my Facebook. He promotes a lot of mental health, and obviously he shared what you guys are doing, and he tagged me in one of your posts. Obviously I've started following you guys, and we sort of got talking from there, really, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Actually, you put a post up, responding to one of our posts that Dan had put on about getting guests on, right? Yeah. So and we got your details. So thank you for responding, which actually makes life easier for us.
Another first.
No, second.
Second.
Okay,
yeah. All right, I'll let you off.
So we had a few responses, but yours actually was what really caught our eye.
Stood out, didn't it?
Yeah, it really stood out. So we're kind of going to leave the floor with you for a bit, if that's okay. We're just going to chuck you in the mix.
Rip the plaster off.
Rip the Band-Aid off and just see, just want to hear your story and how things have been for you. So the floor is yours.
Yes. My story goes right back to 2015. And yes, it's not a great one. 30th of May 2015, my brother was murdered. We got the news the following day. My brother lived in Stoke. Myself and the rest of my family live in Portsmouth. My mum got a knock on the door. Hampshire police decided to send some rookie copper by himself to deliver that sort of that devastating news to my mum, and my brother's daughter was actually there at the time. So as you can imagine, our worlds were completely turned upside down, inside out, ripped apart. All of the above. This is something that you think only happens on TV. You think this is never sort of something that would happen to us. But unfortunately, murder can affect literally any family. Murder doesn't choose race, gender, religion, sexuality, social status. It can literally affect anyone, as we devastatingly found out. Yeah, and in the immediate aftermath, within sort of 4 months, I suppose, of my brother being taken, I found myself consuming in excess of like 8 litres of rum a week.
Wow,
Took
wow,
me
okay.
round down a really, really dark path, really dark road. Sort of a tunnel that I didn't see no way out of. And as much as I knew what I was doing, I knew what I was consuming, but I think I was in complete denial of the depths of the dangers that I was drinking at and the effects it was sort of having on those who love me and those around me. And through this process, my mum worked for a charity, and she used that charity to signpost other people. So she sort of used her resources and found a charity called Sam National, Support After Murder and Manslaughter. Great charity. I'll move on to where I am with them now in a bit. Basically, everybody that works for the charity, volunteers for the charity, apart from the lady in the office, has had someone taken by murder or manslaughter. So when you speak to them, they have got a genuine understanding. And no disrespect to therapists and counsellors and, the work that they apply themselves to, but unless you've actually been through murder or manslaughter, you don't have that understanding. And Sam do, and then, like I say, everybody that volunteers for them does. And I won't lie, immediately, my mum gave me the details and I'm like, nah, what can these do for me? These can't change anything. These can't take my pain away. And I kind of completely dismissed it. And I will say to people, I can't really remember the sort of penny dropping moment, but I was actually stood in my mum's kitchen and I thought, what am I doing? What am I doing? My mum's just, she's on the verge of burying one child. She doesn't deserve to be burying another child. And I had 2 kids at the time. I've got 4 now. Neither of them lived with me. So, I never drunk when I had the kids. But it was like, they deserve a father who's present. Not just this weekend dad who can stay sober for the weekend. They need a father who's present. So I reached out. I decided to make that call. Reached out to Sam National. I was allocated phone support. Amazing woman called Patty. It's honestly absolutely amazing woman. And she used to call me once a week, and you don't have to talk about the details of what happened, or there's days where you don't even have to talk about what happened at all. You can talk about anything. But she really helped rationalise my thoughts, those dark thoughts, those false feelings and emotions. So I could probably say, without that charity and the love of my family, I wouldn't be sitting here with you guys now. I probably would have drunk myself into an early grave, and there's no denying that. There's no backing away from it. I have to be completely open and honest about that. And I'm not, Sam can't make, they can't wave a magic wand and take it all away. They can't. But what they can do is, like you, basically, you guys are doing, you're providing a safe, non-judgmental platform for people to come on and talk to. Sam does the same thing. They do it through phone calls, they do it through retreats. All that support and guidance, is essentially what they do as well. So yeah, I spent a few weeks, maybe months, talking to Patty, and then I decided that I wanted to give something back to the charity. I wanted to help raise awareness to what they do. I wanted to do something in my brother's memory. I wanted to sort of remove the elephant from the room. Like we previously discussed, mental health has been spoken about a lot more these days. In the 80s, like AIDS was the elephant in the room. 90s, cancer was kind of the elephant in the room. Coming into the noughties, mental health was the elephant in the room. But now those things are all being widely discussed and spoken about. And I want the same for victims of murder and manslaughter. I want the same for their families. because there's quite a mentality that there's no smoke without fire when it comes to murder. If you're murdered, then you must have been doing something to deserve it. You know, nobody deserves to be murdered. Nobody.
No.
If you're in a gang, you're a kid in a gang, you don't deserve to be murdered. You deserve to be educated. You know, if you've got addiction, over 90% of addiction comes from trauma. That's not an excuse to be murdered, you know? And there's so much you don't hear about. The media only want to paint a picture that arouses entertainment, if you like. You know, you only ever hear documentaries about serial killers and the murders. You never hear about the families and what's left behind. So I've tried to promote that sort of ripple effect of, you know, the awareness of manslaughter and murder. So yeah, this essentially one of the things I've been doing for years. So yeah, like I said, you know, I wanted to raise Sam's profile. I wanted to raise, you know, the good work they do, and do something in my brother's memory. And all the while I was thinking of this, I was also, while still drinking rum, and I'm not going to say it just ended by a phone call because it didn't. I used to be able to lose all my inhibitions and write about my thoughts, feelings and emotions, and I would post it to social media because I wanted the world to know. It's not murder trial, sentence, that's it. It's not. It is for the general public, but it's not for us as families. We as families serve the whole life sentence, but our whole life sentence is up here. And it's a lot darker and it's a lot smaller than the cells that the perpetrator's sitting in. We don't get day release, we don't get parole, we don't get rehabilitation. You know, we can't, I don't know, go to the airport and leave this baggage behind and jet off on holiday and have a good time. That baggage comes with us. That's always there. So yeah, I did a lot of writing, and you know, I still am still writing a lot of self-published, a couple of books. But the first thing I wanted to do is something that would essentially steer me away from drinking as much as I was. And Sam would do that. Sam could be the difference between opening up a bottle of rum or putting on the kettle and having a cup of tea. So I thought, what can I do? What can I do to help this charity, promote this charity, raise their profile whilst keeping my brother's name alive? So my brother's name's Michael. And literally the only thing I could think about that rhymed with Michael was cycle. And Sam, yeah, I wasn't a cyclist, but yeah, there was a start. And Sam run a retreat, an all-paid members retreat 3 times a year in Crewe. So I thought, I'm going to cycle from Crewe home. And that's how it started. And I had a little look, a couple of 100 miles. And I thought, well, that's a challenge. Anything that takes you out of your comfort zone is a challenge. So that's what I set about. And I started Cycle for Michael. And that's what I called it. But instead of cycling from Crewe to home, I decided to go the other way round. Sam's last retreat is in September. I come up with this idea in October of the previous year. So they got three retreats, and the last one September. So I thought, right, if I aim for that last one, that gives me 11 months of training, 11 months of promoting what I'm doing, 11 months of raising the profile for Sam. So that's what I set about. It wasn't an organised event. It was an event that I organised myself. I had my mum as my support driver in a van. I planned the stop-offs. It was 2 days. It ended up being 135 miles on day 1 and 91 miles on day 2. But I did it, and I raised around about 7 grand in the process. And it was quite strange because I actually raised more money in the 2 days of cycling than I did in the 11 months that built up to it.
Wow.
And I don't know whether that was because I'd never done anything like this before. People were like, is he going to pull it off? So as I'm doing it, as I'm cycling, you know, the money's coming in. And every so often, like, I'll stop, have a drink or whatever, and the phone would ping and, mate, you've just hit this much, mate, you've just hit that much. And that, like, really sort of spurred me on. I've always kind of willfully put a pressure on myself. I want to make it as big as possible, because the more pressure I put on myself, the more drive it gives me. So the more money that comes in, the more drive it gives me. So someone donates a tenner, right, I owe that person 10 miles in training. Somebody donates 20 quid, I owe that person 20 quid. Do you know? And that's 20 miles.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of drove myself to, failing wasn't an option. And failing wasn't an option for me. Failing wasn't an option for Sam National. Failing wasn't an option for my brother.
Yeah.
Got it.
I put the success, they were my success. So that was my first one. That's what I did. But I quickly found that once that was complete, I had a massive emotional hangover, and my mental health dipped again. The dark thoughts returned again. So I had to think of something else. Right, I've done a cycling ride. What can I do now? What else rhymes with Michael? Here we go. Mountains for Michael. That'll do. Yeah. 3 peaks, 24 hours. That's a well-known one. I'll go for that. Call it Mountains for Michael. Exactly the same process. Give myself 10 months to train, 10 months to raise money, 10 months to raise more awareness to Sam. And in the meantime, I'm thinking of other ways of getting other people involved. So I'm going to speak to companies about sponsoring this event. I'm going to speak to radio stations. I'm going to speak to podcasts. I'm going to speak to newspapers. And so, that was the next one. Completed it. And then the next year was free fall for Michael, which was a skydive. But I did find as each event went on, the money I was raising was getting less. And, and I appreciate not everyone wants to sponsor the same guy for doing something for the same charity. And my brother was amazing. My brother only saw people, right? And what I mean by that is my brother didn't see sexuality. My brother didn't see gender. My brother didn't see race. My brother didn't see religion. My brother didn't see social status. My brother didn't care whether you had £100 million in the bank or whether you was £1,000 in debt. My brother treated literally everyone the same. So I wanted to take that same mentality towards charity. So I thought, right, what I'm going to do now is every time I do a challenge, I'm going to pick a different charity.
Okay.
So that's what I did. I ended up, and I'm not going to talk about every single one because obviously, we've only got a certain amount of time. Yeah. But if we sort of fast forward 11 years, I've done 12 different fundraising challenges now. 4 of them have been for Sam National, and the rest have been for other various charities. But even, during that process, I wanted to see how far I could sort of push myself. So I've done, I cycled from Land's End to John O'Groats for a local charity called the Rowan's Hospice, who give respite for, sort of end life care for people that have cancer. Amazing hospice. But when it come back round to the 10 years, I wanted to rewind and remember where it all started. Because if it wasn't for Sam National, I wouldn't have been able to do all these fundraisers for all these other charities.
Of course.
So these charities essentially have benefited from me getting that support from Sam. So I was supposed to have done it last year for my brother's 10th anniversary, but some things in my private life changed. So I ended up pushing into this year, but I trekked to Everest Base Camp, which was a completely different challenge. Like I said, I've done mountains for Michael. I've done Snowdon 3 times. I've done 7 mountains in 7 days in Ireland for refuge, but I've never done anything at altitude. So this was really something different. Something again that was kind of out of my comfort zone. And you can come into a challenge with all the best will and intention. You can train. Your mentality can be right. You can have the will and all the rest of it. But there's some things that are completely out of your control. And with this one, it's altitude. Nobody ever knows how they're going to get affected by altitude, with altitude sickness. And something that was even bigger for me was whatever challenge I've done, I've never been more than sort of maybe half a day from my family getting home. So if anything's ever
Yeah.
happened to the kids, I'm back home in probably most half a day. So the fact this was the other side of the world was difficult. You know, I'm not getting home for maybe 2-3 days. If I'm halfway
Yeah.
up, you know, the trail to Everest Base Camp, and I find out something's going back at home, you know, it's a massive, you know, it's a long turnaround. It's a long journey home. So that was really difficult. And you know, there's a day 5 that and I don't know why it was day 5 in particular, but I really struggled on day 5. You know, my legs were working fine, my lungs were working fine, but my heart and soul really hurt. I was really homesick, really missing the kids.
Yeah.
So it was tough. It was tough. I
Yeah.
managed to get through that day, you know, okay, and I, you know, carried on, and I, you know, eventually reached Everest Base Camp. So yeah, I think I've been
What a feat. Was,
waffling on for a bit now.
what a feat. No, in fact, you've made our job easier for us.
This is why we like having guests in.
Yes.
Him and I don't have to talk.
Wow. So I've been banking questions throughout this your entire conversation about obviously what happened with your brother and your challenges and things that you've done. But kudos to you for doing that, because that not many people would even consider doing something like that, and it's not easy.
No. I mean, I had a conversation with Bish outside before we came in. You know, people don't, and you said it yourself, unless you've been through that, you can't understand, you can't contemplate. What's in a book doesn't transcribe into real life, does it? So to go through what you've gone through and go through the emotions and everything attached to that, and then turn that into positive the way you have, is just, yeah, incredible.
It's phenomenal. But I'm going to ask some questions, and you politely did message me earlier on and said that, you know, you're open to any questions. But if there's anything I ask that you feel uncomfortable with, feel free to just tell me to shut up. But don't. So basically, I want to talk about your relationship with your brother first and foremost, because you said that he was a very kind person, he was a lovely guy. What was your relationship like with him?
So me and Mike growing up were very chalk and cheese. You know, he was blonde hair, blue eyes. Once upon a time, I had dark hair, and I think I've still got dark eyes. Might be a bit bloodshot, but yeah. So we were very chalk and cheese in our looks, but also very chalk and cheese in how we were as children. Mike was very shy, very loving child, very, you know, kind, caring child, but he was very shy. I was more the social one. I wanted to go out, get dirty, play football, be with all my friends. Mike was quite happy, sat indoors, taking apart a remote control car and seeing how it, you know, if he could put it back together.
Yeah.
Mike was more his mind. I was more, a boy's boy, going out, getting dirty and that sort of stuff. So I wouldn't say we didn't necessarily have a negative relationship as children. We just didn't spend that much time together.
Okay.
But as we sort of grow up and you mature and you respect your siblings, you take an interest in what each other's like. Mike growing up, it's quite funny. As Mike grew up, Mike, like late 80s, early 90s, his passion turned to rap music. Your NWAs, your Onyx, Ice-T, and any film that was sort of, of a similar sort of genre. And one of his best mates, Jordan, who I also know, said like Mike was the most ironic gangster going. He did not have like a confrontational bone in his body. He didn't. If there was a fight in a pub and he was in it, chances are Mike would walk out. You know, but he used to listen to the music, dress like him, walk like him, but he wouldn't harm a fly. You know, he was 6 foot, 4 foot wide, but he was literally the most loving, kind, caring, guy that you could wish for. Certainly for me, like I say, it might be my brother. So yeah, like, I would listen to his music. I'm a Liverpool fan. He would come down the pub with me and watch football, or if there's a new film out that he really wanted to see, we'd sit down and watch it together. So we, like I said, we didn't spend a lot of time together when we was kids, but we certainly did more as we got older. That was for sure.
Really the case,
And
though, isn't it?
he was,
In most relationships.
yeah, yeah. And I've, there's probably a lot of siblings out there can, probably resonate with that. Yeah, he
Yeah,
was,
definitely.
like I said, he was a big guy, but if I ever walked into my mum's house, the first thing he's doing is putting his arms around me, giving me a hug, and then putting the kettle on. Very, very welcoming person.
Sure. So now, I just want to circle back a bit to your drinking, and just talk a little
Yeah.
bit about that and your thought processes as you were drinking, because obviously when it comes to traumatic experiences, a lot of people do turn to alcohol. I mean, what do you think your main purpose was when you were drinking? What was do you have a reason for it, or did you just enjoy it?
No, I don't think there was necessarily any enjoyment about it. It's not like I was going down the pub drinking or socialising. I was doing it
Yeah,
indoors in a room by myself. It
by
was just
yourself.
me and a bottle of rum. I do remember being massively obsessed with watching murder documentaries.
Right.
And I know the thought process behind that was I was trying to find an answer that the perpetrator wasn't prepared to give us. And that's why he did it.
No.
And still to this day, 11 years, down the line, we don't know why he did what he did. And, I've got a couple of hundred people on my social media that have had loved one taken by murder or manslaughter. I could probably guarantee 99% of those will tell you the same thing. The perpetrator won't tell you why they did what they did. It's almost like a perverse last bit of power and control they've got. And I think a bit in part, if they actually admit what they've done, they won't get parole. So I think there's a few elements behind it. So yeah, I would sit there, I would drink, I would watch these programs. If I wasn't watching them, I'll be playing Michael's music, and I'd just sit there and cry. So I can't even say it was to numb the
Yeah.
pain, because I didn't want to numb the pain. I wanted to feel pain. I felt a lot of guilt for not being able to protect my brother, not being able to stop what happened. So pain is one thing I've never stopped or never wanted to stop in some respects. And I've said to many people that pain's a privilege that was denied to my brother. So pain, a lot of people will see pain as, ouch, that hurts. I see pain as, you're still alive. Remember that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't to numb pain, but I did find it helped me write. I'd write out whatever I was feeling at the time, whatever I was thinking at the time, whatever I was going through emotionally at the time. Because like I said, I wanted the world to know that there's more to the murder than the perpetrator. There's the victims and the families that are left behind. I wanted people to know the ripple effects, how it affects members of the family.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think I ever. It was never, oh right, I'm going to drink a litre of rum, or I'm going to drink 3 litres of rum this week, or 5 litres of rum this week. It become a slow progression. And one of the scary things is it didn't even affect me. I could drink until 2 a.m. I was getting up at 5:30, 6 o'clock and driving to work.
Wow.
It was like I was in robot mode. And I know as I sit here now and I look back at it, it was ridiculous. But I was so blinded by my grief, I wasn't thinking logically. But also, it wasn't having any effect. I wasn't getting up still feeling drunk. I wasn't getting up, feeling hungover. I was getting up and I was going to work. And I was working on live gas. I was connecting live gas from a gas main to people's properties. So what I was doing was dangerous. And if I'd got stopped by the police, 100% I would have been over the limit.
Yeah.
And I'll be completely open and honest with you now. Like I said, I won't shy away from it, and I'm not condoning anything I did in those days. I know there was times I drank a whole litre of rum, drove to the shop, bought another bottle, drove home and carried on drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in all of this,
And like
you mentioned that family was affected as well, right? So you had, was it your kids? In terms of family, who was affected the most from what you were doing?
I ended up moving in with my mum. Two reasons. One, I wanted to support her. I wanted to be more, I know it sounds ironic given what I've just told you. I wanted to try and support her. She was talking about getting a lodger. And I said, no, Mum, you can't. Not while you're grieving, not like this. And she was spending a lot of time in her own bedroom, sort of locked away. So I wanted to try and help her, support her, but also help her financially as well. You know, Mum had a whole loft conversion. There was 2 rooms and a bathroom up there. So I just turned one into a sitting room, one into a bedroom, and I had my own bathroom. But I just wanted to try and alleviate some of that sort of financial burden on her. But then, like you say, when you look back on it now, what she witnessed me putting myself through must have been horrific for her.
Of course.
Must have been so difficult. And I'm kind of glad I was living there, because that gave me the realisation, a part of the realisation. And like I said, I don't remember the exact penny dropping moment, but I knew I stood in my mum's kitchen. And it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I think it might have been, you know, I might have seen the box of, God knows how many bottles of rum outside in the recycling, the glass recycling. Maybe it was something like that sort of visually see what I was consuming. So yeah, Mum was definitely affected.
Sound of the bottles, hitting of the bottles as well.
Yeah, the clank of the bottles. Yeah.
I can imagine that.
Yeah. And like I said, sorry, go on.
Sorry, Eugene. So was that the point where Mum's intervened and sort of said, look, you need to approach Sam and see where we go? Or was there other stuff that had come after that prompted it?
I think my mum, would have said, "Oh, are you're not going to get another bottle, are you? Or you're not going to drink again, are you?" Or words to that effect. But then I found, like I said, I was just sitting in my room by myself, so I found myself as a 37-year-old man hiding bottles of rum in bottle bags and taking them upstairs. The sort of stuff that you do when you're 12 years old, trying to have a sneaky cider behind your mum's back. It kind of went back to that sort of childish mentality, if you want to call it that. So there was a bit of sneaking around, but like I said, at the same time, I'm glad I was there and I was able to see it, what it was doing, so I could put a stop to it. And it didn't, and that, like I said before, it's not like it just stopped there. It's not like I made that phone call for Sam. I was still consuming a fair bit of alcohol, even when I was training for that first event. I got myself a cross trainer and an exercise bike for indoors, so there couldn't be any excuses when there was bad weather. I could still train. But what I found myself doing was, I was telling myself, if I did an hour on each, I could reward myself with a bottle of rum. So I'd do an hour on the exercise bike, hour on the cross trainer, and then drink a litre of rum straight after.
Wow.
So it was a process, and I'm glad to say that 11 years down the line, I can drink now, but I know when to stop. I think I've only had a drink twice this year.
Yeah.
So
good on you.
Yeah.
Good on you. It's when you can actually. Yeah, actually, that's a good thing, because you can pace yourself now. You know when to stop. But that clearly was something you were having just to numb the thoughts, perhaps, like that behind anything, to put yourself to sleep. A lot of people do. I mean, if you can't rest, you'll drink until you fall asleep. I went through a very similar phase in that sense of wanting to drink to stop dark thoughts. Because I was going through a hell of a lot of a bad time. Like back in the day, I was depressed quite a lot. But I would think, okay, if I have a bottle of wine, I'll fall asleep. And it works.
Yeah.
Until the next morning when you have a hangover. You obviously were lucky enough to not have one. But
don't do hangovers anymore.
It's that knock-on effect. I'm really happy for you that you've actually turned this corner and you're actually doing something for yourself as well.
And you say about the sleep, I've only actually had one night of unbroken sleep in 11 years. Even with the alcohol, I would either struggle to get to sleep or I would fall asleep and then wake up. I could even now I can still wake up anything between 10 and 15 times a night. And it's not wake up and I'm wide awake, it's just wake, look at the time, roll over, go back to sleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've only had one night of unbroken sleep in 11 years, and that's when I had COVID and I slept for 12 hours.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it yourself. You know, you say about the privilege of pain and that you're experiencing the pain because obviously Michael didn't get that opportunity. And part of me, my head was thinking, is that why you were putting yourself through that? Was that why you were sort of putting that on yourself? And then maybe was there an element of hoping that you were going to get caught over the drink drive limit and then put yourself through a bit more pain? So again, it's offsetting what he's missed out on.
Yeah, I mean, self-harm comes in many forms, doesn't it? And even, you know, with all these challenges that I do, there'll be times where I found myself training and I would push myself and push myself and push myself until it hurt.
Yeah.
And it's essentially, there's no denying it, it's self-harm. And, you know, you're exactly right what you're saying. You know, there's a subconscious that goes, you're going to do this, you're going to feel this pain.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
but another part of...
I've spoken off pod with Vish about stuff that's gone on in my family. And I had a conversation with my mother-in-law before I came in today because I wanted to make sure she was happy for me to talk about it because she's gone through something similar to yourself. Her brother was murdered before my wife and I got together, before we knew each other. It happened some time ago. But she's gone through a loss in such a traumatic way as you have. And she said to me, look, I'm more than happy if you talk about it because if it helps other people in your position, in their position to talk about it and be open about it, then by all means. And it's, my wife said to me, it's like you say, they get to go, they go to prison, they serve their time, however little that is, and they come out, they get their life back. You don't get that. And particularly in my mother-in-law's case, the person involved has almost sort of spent the rest of their life living on this sort of infamy of doing what they did. And then that's a constant sort of reminder to them of what's happened. It never, like you say, it never goes away. You can't leave that baggage behind, but there's always some reminder there that what's really badly happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly right, because at some point there's going to be a parole hearing.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, that's something else that's going to take you back. You know, Mike was 40, so when his 50th turn come round, and it being the 10th anniversary, you know, you got obviously they're what they call milestones. They're all reminders. So you don't ever, you'll get times in your life and times in the year where you feel a bit of peace, a bit of happiness, a bit of comfort. But unfortunately, it's short-lived. So you've got to try and take those moments and enjoy them as much as you can. And I'm not going to say, you know, the rest of my life is going to be miserable. You know, I've had 2 more children. They are my world. I love my children. And that's another reason for why I do what I do. You know, I want to teach my children that you can take a negative situation and turn it into a positive one. So they're my everything. They really are. And, you know, I'm very blessed. I've got 4 very extremely amazing children. And, you know, they're a part of the reason I keep going and a part of the reason I keep doing what I do.
Oh,
I thought we froze.
yeah, it's funny because whenever we speak, I'm like waiting for that lag to end. Is there something else going to come? You know, in your position, I'd be extremely proud of what you've done and what you've achieved, and for yourself as well. Because it's not something. I mean, I've never spoken to anyone who's been through anything like you have, besides seeing it on TV. You know, trauma like this isn't something to mess around with in any kind of way. Now, how are you now? Like, and how's your relationship with your mum?
Yeah, I'm a lot better than what I was 11 years ago. Every year, so you get all the different emotions that you go through and the thoughts and feelings that you go through. So whether it's denial, anger, confusion, sadness, every year, one seems to heighten more than the other. And I've never been able to put a figure on it as to why. I spent most of last year really angry, you know, but towards him. Not to, you know, I wasn't arguing with loads of people or falling out with people or, you know, being narky with the kids or the family. I just had this rage inside me that if I could have got my hands on him, I would have caused him some serious damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This year, I don't know, I felt quite sad this year. I've probably cried more this year than I did last year. And I don't know whether that was because all to do with, you know, obviously going to Everest Base Camp. And so Mike's birthday's in April. I did Everest Base Camp the end of April, beginning of May. And then Mike's anniversary was the end of May. So, you know, those 2 months and those 3 different things did stir up a lot of emotion. And I have really missed my brother this year. Really, really, really missed him. But I would say I'm okay. You know, I'm not in the position where I have been in previous years going, guys, the weekend here yet, I need a drink. I'm not like that. I'm not feeling that. I was made ambassador for Sam National this year, for the charity,
Hey.
which was massive honour to, you know, to be asked that and accept that. So I'm not in a bad place. You know, I'm and you talk about pride, and I'll be honest with you, I've never felt an ounce of pride in anything I've ever done. I haven't. I don't feel pride in anything I've done. I don't like compliments. I feel really awkward. I feel really uncomfortable. You know, when people call me inspirational, and you know, I've even been called a hero. And you know, they sort of. I'm not. I'm just a broken-hearted brother who made a promise. I stood at my brother's grave to my family and promised that all the time I had air in my lungs, I'd keep my brother's memory alive. And that's what I see I'm doing. I'm not a hero. If I can inspire people, don't get me wrong, I'll take that. I've tried to inspire men to talk more. I was a facilitator for a men's only group talk online for Sam National. You know, so I have tried to get more, you know, and this is why I think what you guys are doing is absolutely phenomenal. I think it's such great work because it's something I've always tried to do. Not, you know, I'm not going to start my own podcast. I'm not. But anybody who starts a podcast that gets men talking, I just think it's fantastic. It really is. So yeah, you know, that's kind of where I am. I'm in the process of writing another book, my 3rd book. So yeah, I'm still trying to do positive things.
Do you find yourself opening up a bit more about how you're feeling?
Now, oh yeah, and again, that's been a process. And it was like I attended quite a few retreats for Sam National, and I quickly realised there wasn't any men there. It was just all women. There's no men there talking. And if a husband did come along to support his wife, he would just sit there, and she would do all the talking.
Yeah.
And one of the things, especially with dads, I realised dads are supposed to be the security, aren't they? The protector of the family. So when their child gets taken, that security has been breached. Those boundaries have been breached. And I talk to the dads, and there's almost like there's an element of embarrassment that they couldn't protect their family.
Yeah,
you know, and obviously being a father, 100% guilt. And I still suffer with that now, guilt that, you know, I didn't prevent what happened to my brother. We didn't have a father. So I kind of, even though Michael was older than me, I kind of felt like that responsibility fell on my shoulders because I was that outgoing, that social one. So I got it. I understood. You know, so it's like, that's not your fault. It's not your fault. You did everything you could for your family. Yeah. And I hate this, they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's victim blaming.
Yeah.
They weren't in the wrong place at the wrong time. They were in the right place at the right time. The perpetrator was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you see it all the time. Whatever whatever the crime is, wherever there's a victim, it's always very much we go so much towards the victim blaming side of things. And like you say, it's the way that the media spin things, the news stories that sell. And you're like, well, if they hadn't done this or they hadn't gone there, well, why shouldn't they? They have a right to be there. They have a right to be doing what they want to do. It's not down to them for somebody else to come along and make that decision that they want to do something about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But that doesn't sell. That doesn't, you're not going to make a documentary out of that, are you?
Valid. Absolutely valid.
Yeah. And like, and this is why I feel like I need to do what I do, and kind of be an advocate for the families, and talk about the stigma and things that we're discussing now. Do you want me to read you a poem that I wrote?
Yes, please.
Go for it.
Right.
Like a bit of,
So
this is a bit arty, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not used to this.
yeah.
Right, let's go.
So
It's all got eyebrow.
like I said, I mean, I took to writing. That was the way of decongesting my mind. That was the way to raise awareness and hopefully get people pay attention. And it was a previous company I worked for back in 2019. I used to work away a bit, and I was on a course for that particular company. And the week of that I was away was my brother's birthday, 17th of April. And I woke up and I wrote this before going for breakfast. And the one part I will say, the part of where I talk about the dad, we didn't have a dad, but it was what I got from talking to dads.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That goes, it only takes one punch, one shot, one knife to take one life. There was this man from the estate running late. He was running for the bus when he accidentally bumped into this boy and his mate. The boys got mad, and what was sad is that one drew a knife and took the man's life. It only takes one punch, one shot, one knife to take one life. Now there's a grieving mother who screams at the skies above her. On her knees at the grave, she claws at the earth for the boy she gave her life to after his birth. She's heartbroken to the core and not sure if she can go on anymore. It only takes one punch, one shot, one knife to take one life. Now there's a grieving father who lays awake at night wishing he tried harder. His guilt is out of control and now he has no soul. He wants to take his son's place and be his saving grace. It only takes one punch, one shot, one knife to take one life. Now there's a grieving daughter who's supposed to be getting wed, but can't even face getting out of bed because the best day of her life has gone from good to bad, because walking her to the altar was supposed to be her dad. It only takes one punch, one shot, one knife to take one life. Now there's a grieving brother. Oh, I've forgotten the words. Yeah, sorry. Now there's a grieving brother who thought he could protect his mother and his whole family. Now he's lost in the depths of insanity. He's constantly on the brink, reaching for that next drink. It only takes one punch, one shot, one knife to take one life. Now there's a grieving sister who feels like she's caught up in a twister because now she is missing her big brother who would always pick up the phone and listen. She's struggling to see this is now her reality. It only takes one punch, one shot, one knife to take one life. But it's not just one life that's taken. It's a whole family trying to cope with their hearts breaking. Thank you.
Well, that's extraordinary.
Yeah. You can.
I can't believe I forgot the next sentence. Oh.
It's okay, mate. That was deep. And it clearly means a lot to you.
Mm.
I think somebody could listen to that poem without knowing anything else that had gone on and just see how personal that is and almost reenact the entire situation just from those words.
Definitely. Where were you when you wrote this?
In a hotel room in Manchester.
On your own?
Yeah, on my own, yeah.
Yeah. you've obviously thought about this for some time to then put pen to paper.
Well, I think it was about 2 weeks. I just kept having that initial, it only takes one punch, one shot, one knife. And that's all I kept having. That's all it kept having. And then I just woke up with that. The dad bit, admittedly, I added maybe a week later. Because I wrote it and everything I'd ever written was about me and my family. And I kind of thought to myself, I want to make this for all families.
Yeah.
Not just mine.
More
I want it to be something, a family could read. And so, like I said, we didn't have a dad. So I wrote that part based on conversations that I had with dads.
Yeah. Yeah. We're almost at that point of wrapping up. But I'm going to ask you for a little bit of advice. Now, for someone else that's going through what you went through and what your family went through, is there any advice that you would give to help with coping with things like this?
I wouldn't advise anybody to necessarily do what I've done. I've pushed myself and pushed myself and pushed myself. I don't compare and contrast, Pain is personal and so is love. I don't, you're saying about your mother-in-law, her love for her child is going to be different to my love for my brother. Our grief is reflected in the love. And I'm not going to say that I love my brother more than, she loved her son or somebody else loves their sister. Or, I never compare and contrast. If all you do one day is get up, brush your teeth, get dressed, and that's it, well done. Well done.
Yeah.
Because I know how difficult that can be. And we're not talking just about grieving here, we're talking about mental health as well. Just remember, nobody has got the right to tell you how fast you walk. Right?
Yeah.
Your path is your path. You walk at the speed that benefits you the most, not what anybody else thinks you should be doing. Because nobody else is feeling what you're feeling inside. So just focus on you and your journey, and obviously the ones that love you the most. And I think that's a bit of advice that I would give.
Great.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you said earlier that you find the sort of the praise and the credit really hard to take, but what you're doing is inspirational. And similar to what we kind of do, I think we're never going to get away from murders are always going to happen. Mental health is always going to be an issue. But as long as we're driving the awareness of it and allowing people the opportunity to talk about it, and through things that you're doing to raise that awareness, that's what you need to take credit for. And that's where the praise needs to come in. And you need to take that on board a little bit more, I think, and just sort of allow it. I know it's difficult. I do it all the time. When people say stuff to me, I'll just sort of, okay. I'll sort of cringe down and turtle into myself. But we've spoken about it on here. You have to give yourself the pat on the back sometimes, and you have to take that bit of self-worth out of it. And for what you've done, turning that situation to the positive that you are, it's huge.
Yeah, massive.
Yeah. No, I do appreciate it. Like I said, obviously I appreciate you guys having me on and giving me the opportunity, because it is platforms like this where it's a safe, non-judgmental platform where you can tell your story, and obviously there will be probably minor tweaks, bits of editing, but essentially you're letting that person tell their story because it's their story. You can go to the newspaper and, I've done loads of newspaper interviews, and what I've provided could fill the whole newspaper. And then you'll get like two paragraphs, and 2/3 of it will be about the perpetrator, and then a little tag on at the end about you. This is why I love podcasts so much and taking part in podcasts, because it is so different. So like I said, what I think you guys are doing is absolutely brilliant, and a thank you from man to man.
No, thank you for coming in and being honest and open as you are. And, we say, like you say, this is a safe space. People come in. We don't edit out things. We leave it in because you're not giving it the truth that it deserves if you do that. We're not looking for clickbait. We're not looking for clips that are going to go viral. And if you want to come on, if people are willing and gracious enough to come on and be open and honest as they are, they deserve everything that is on the recording.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? Because like we've had conversations that, I mean, some of us have said something that sounds a little silly, but that's still in. We keep everything in. And it's a good, honest, open conversation. And this is why I love doing it as well. I mean, I think it's the best thing ever. I'm going to blow my trumpet, our trumpet as much as possible.
But it's the people that you meet, isn't it? You know, you see we've met such a variety of people from doing this, all corners of the earth, all walks of life, all with their own story, and that's what we're all about.
Absolutely. Oh no, thank you very much for coming in. It's been emotional actually, because I felt a lot of emotions from you, and that poem actually was beautiful, yet also hard hitting at the same time. I don't think I would have been able to put
no, I don't either.
Way. And actually speak about it the way you spoke about it, I would have broke it down easily.
Yeah,
easily. But that brings us pretty much to the end, almost. Well, almost.
I don't know if you've listened to an episode all the way through. If you have, I apologise. But we tend to have a little bit of fun towards the end of the episode, and we call it the Love Spud section. Basically, it's either something that's pissed you off this week, which is a love spud, or something that's made you feel good, and that's a love plum. So I don't know if you've had time to think about one. Have you got one off the top of your hat this week?
I've got a love spud.
I know you've got a spud because we already had a conversation about it.
Yeah, I've got a love spud.
You go first, and then we can let Eugene go.
Yeah, okay. So this will be a good example for you to follow from. So I actually am having some work done at my parents' house where I live now as well. And we found out today, so this is day number 2 of the renovations happening, which means the back of the house is completely smashed up. It's the extension that was currently there, which is now a piece of rubble. Well, several pieces of rubble in the back garden because it was subsiding. So we decided to knock it down and start again. In this time, we found out that the neighbour has decided to put their extension up. But whilst they've done that, they've attached it to ours. So that's now the reason of the subsidence. And it's pissed me off to such a point today where I couldn't even concentrate. Stop laughing. I couldn't concentrate on anything. So anyway, long story short, I've now had to look at ways to get around this in the right possible manner without Dan's advice, which was just tear theirs down, which I'm not going to do. But yeah, it really fucks me off that people had the cheek to do that.
I'm just waiting for you to star an episode of Homes Under the Hammer.
It definitely will.
Because that's the kind of stuff that Dion Dublin would sort out.
Yeah, so that's my spud of the week. But yeah,
valid.
It's just the admin behind it, right? Because it fucking drags on. So now this could potentially stop the works continuing for another 5 days until we know what we can do next.
Your mum's not going to be happy.
I'm not told her yet.
Oh, okay.
Maybe when this is out, she'll know. But yeah, she don't know yet. But yeah, it's just been a bit difficult today. But I'll manage to get through it. And to be fair, I've got an amazing other half who actually helps me with that. She keeps me grounded. And I told you this earlier. She keeps me, when I'm about to flip my shit, I know I think about her or speak to her and I'm okay. I'm calm.
Yeah.
I'm brought back to earth again.
Good.
So that's my spud with the ending of a little bit of a...
I'll let you have that.
Yeah.
Thanks, you can have that.
Thanks, dude. What about you, Eugene?
Like I said, I've previously written 2 books. They were very, very short books of poetry, only 24 pages long. I set out to write a fundraising dossier. Basically, I wanted to describe everything I've done in detail, how I've done it, to help anybody that is thinking of doing something for charity, a fundraising event. 200 pages later and 40,000 words, I found I'm actually writing a book, a memoir. So yeah, that's my good feeling for this week. I'm really pleased that I've managed to push through a lot of barriers. Because every time I spoke about something, it led to why I was doing it, and that led to something else, and it kind of snowballed from there. I'm grateful for. Yeah.
I like the idea of that, and I should be looking for that when it comes out. So let us know when it's out.
Yes.
Because I feel your pain, and it's almost like a love spud turned to a love plum. The stresses and everything you go through, but then you turn that around and go, well, this is why I've done it, and then you get the benefit from it.
Yeah.
But the way I've done it, it's like it's a bit of a love story. So
Yeah.
two things I've set myself. One, the perpetrator doesn't get mentioned at all. His name, you will not find his name in the book, only as the perpetrator. And two, I will not discuss what happened to my brother. So it's before that day and after that day. I'm writing everything about my brother in the before that day, the 40 years of his life. I want people to fall in love with my brother so then they can understand why I've done what I've done and why he is grieved so much. So, yeah, it's one of those. And I say it's a memoir, it's a bit of a love story. And, yeah, like I said before, you know, I want the world to know who my brother was.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So the words right out of my mouth. Good for you, man. That leads me on to you.
I've got a love plum. I have a love plum.
Okay.
So we've bored to death of the fact that I've got a camper van now. We've discussed this over and over.
Yeah.
We had the first proper family trip away at the weekend, shakedown before we go on holiday next week.
Yeah, of course.
Brilliant. We had a great weekend. Everything went really well. We managed to get the awning and everything attached with no major issues, and we managed everything that we wanted to do. But my plum this week is I actually sat down on Saturday afternoon with Jen. And you know, I've been struggling the last couple of weeks, and we just sat there with a sea view, and we had a pretty open and honest conversation about how shit I'd been because I had taken it out on her and the kids, and I'd been a knob. And I think we got through some stuff. We still not really worked out what it is, but just that conversation, and that's something that before all this I would never have done. So my plum is to Jen for putting up with me and for having the patience to sit there and deal with a knob.
You can say I love you, Jen.
She knows I love her, but I will say it. No, I do. I love it. I love her and the kids to bits. I love them both. I love them all dearly. But yeah, no, we had a really good weekend, and I feel a lot better after it.
Good.
So yeah,
That's nice.
Yeah.
That just goes to
Good
show
for you.
it helps.
absolutely. Yeah. On that note,
On that note, do you have you listened to any of our podcasts, Eugene?
I'm not going to lie, I haven't yet. I am.
Right.
I will.
Okay. Right. Just before we get into that, Eugene, we'll put all the links for Sam and anything that you want us to put in, drop us it on an email, and we'll put it in the pod description. Or I say we, Taylor will. Taylor will sort it. So anybody that listens to this and wants to find out more, the links will be down here. Or up there, or wherever he puts it. But yeah, we have a sign off. We're not allowed to drop the C-bomb so often. So our sign off is quite.
Say one,
of course.
Can I just say one thing, please?
Yeah.
If anybody is watching this and they see that link and think, well, mine was 20 years ago, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it was 20 seconds ago, 20 years ago, 40 years ago. Sam will be there to support you. Okay? Sorry, thank you.
Great.
Yeah. No, it's perfect. That's brilliant.
Thanks, then, buddy. Well, on that note,
I'll
see
you
next
Thursday.
And that's a wrap.
And that's all it is.
That's it.